Hey, it's Ryan. We got another electric go-kart video. Instead of the McLaren, this time it's the Aston Martin F1 team go-kart. This one is for my nephew. My nephew got a chance to ride my kiddo's McLaren car and really liked it. So for his birthday, his parents got him this one. Pretty much the same stats as the McLaren as far as 12 volt, ages 3+, one rider, 65 pound. This is the difference here. The McLaren top speed is 2.8. The Aston Martin is 3.5. So I'm going to try and unbox this thing real quick, do a quick assembly video, and then do a side-by-side comparison. So if you're on the fence about one or the other, hopefully this can steer you in the right direction. All right. And then of course I unboxed it upside down, even after looking at it. Halo. Wheels, looks like remote control, seat, and the seat backrest. And there's two other things still in the box that I missed. The steering wheel and some parts, and then it looks like the little TV pod air intake. All right, I'm going to be following this guide just step by step. First step, 3 tools they say you're going to need: Phillips screwdriver, needle nose, and then these 2 little spanner wrenches that come with the car. All right, step 1, we're going to flip the car over and we're attaching the front wing. You're going to need 6 of the screws that come in the kit, and then you'll see them once the wing slides on. There's 2 up here, screws, holes, and then 4 down below. So the little stubby screwdriver I showed you isn't going to work, so make sure you have a normal length screwdriver. Remember, with these, you're just going into plastic, so don't go too tight and strip it out. Okay, here's a better top-down view of the 6 screws you should have just installed. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 is down below, just blocked by this bar. Okay, step 2, we are cutting the zip ties off of here, which will then allow us to, should be able to, like that, flip out the front axles. All right, once you get the front axles pointed in the direction they're supposed to, outward, you have to connect this steering arm to this side. This one's riveted, so you know it's not going to be that one. This one, there's a little nut. You're going to take it off, and then we'll attach it. And it looks like the bar, the steering arm, is going to go on top of this arm. Now, I don't know why it doesn't ask or tell you to have a wrench handy, but it is going to be a little 8 mil for the nut, or else you're not going to be able to get this thing tightened up. And obviously you don't want this one loose, because that's your steering control. All right, now that the axles are facing outward, make sure that the steering column, this hoop or loop, whatever you want to call it, the bend is going through the bracket, which is on the control arm. This is what's going to allow for the driver input to turn the wheels, right? So that's important. And then once that's looped in and you secured the other side with the hardware, which we already covered, we'll take one of the supplied washers and the split pin, and that's what's going to hold the steering column in the bracket. And then once you have that installed, that's what it should look like. You have your washer and then your split pin, which is going to retain it. Okay, on to step 3, front wheel assembly. Car's still upside down. This is what your front axles are going to look like. Everything's nice and rigid now that everything's attached. You're just going to back this off, take one washer off. You have 4 wheels, obviously, and the 2 fronts will be labeled as such, and you'll just slide them on. Again, making sure that washer's on the inside, putting this washer back on, and then putting the nut back on. And then the spanner wrenches that came with are what you're going to use to tighten it down. Or you can use a real wrench if you have it. You don't want to go too tight, so it will limit the spin of the wheel, right? And then it comes with 4 caps. Just going to go ahead and install this one. And then we'll just repeat it on the other side. All right, we're on to step 4, which is the rear axle assembly. This is how it's going to show up. Just make sure you cut the zip ties off and remove everything. All right, so here's the rear axle. I took the washer and the nut off of one side, and I'm just going to slide it through. These are your motors, one on each side, so make sure that you're lining these up and it goes through the body of the car. And don't force anything, it'll line up, just take your time. And then try and make it look even. It's easier to do now than when wheels are on there, right? Okay, rear axle is in. Rear tires labeled as such. Tire goes on, make sure it's grooved. It's got grooves here that'll line up. So we'll do that. Slides right in. Then a washer. If you don't have enough thread, just push a little bit from the other side. So you have some washers on, and then put the nut on. And again, just like the front, we don't want to over tighten it. Well, I forgot. It's just like the other one. We got to do both, so I'll go ahead and put this one on. And that's why they give you 2 of the spanner wrenches, because it'll just sit there and spin. Whoa. That one lines up. Good threads on this side. Washer. Nut. Alright, both wheels are on and tight. The last thing you're going to do is put the caps on both sides. Alright, step 6. As the manual says, gently flip the car over, and we're installing the halo device. This actually has a wire in it, so before you flip it over, make sure this one is fed through. I had to flip mine back over, so save you some time there. And then just a simple connector. It's keyed, so you're not going to be able to insert it the wrong way without a lot of effort. So that's plugged in. Feed that back down and through, and then it should just snap into place with everything. Just like that. Alright, step 7, steering wheel assembly. From what the manual looks like, it says to remove, there's a bolt that feeds through here. You can see it's slotted for a nut. So I remove that, and then when you actually go to the steering column, there's a piece of foam that was held in by another screw and a nut. So, instructions as clear as mud. Obviously only one can be utilized, so I just took the foam out, and I'm going to slide that in, and then it should just it should line up, and we should be alright. We'll see. So just get down on the side, make sure you have a good light source on the other side, and you'll be able to see it. See the holes line up. And if you can't, it's probably just because the steering wheel's not pushed in far enough, so just reach underneath the car and push that steering column back up towards you so that you can press the steering wheel down all the way. In my mind, these steps should be reversed, so if you're watching this as a pre-run before actually installing, maybe do step 8 first. It's just installing the batteries, but it's like, why not do that when It's not attached to the car. It's just the one screw right there. And I think it's going to be 2 AA's. Yep, 2 AA's. Alright, step 9. We're just putting the side mirrors on, and they just click into place. Nice and simple. And then just repeat on the other side. Step 10, air intake assembly and TV pod. Again, it's just going to snap in. Step 11 is the rear wing. So just make sure you got it facing the right direction. And then push in. Try again, push in. There we go. Just hold the bottom of the car so you're not putting a bunch of pressure down, and it snaps in. All right, step 12 is an important one. You're actually connecting the battery. It does not come pre-connected. So here we are, and you're just matching colors, right? So red to red, black to black. Once it clicks, you're good to go. Try and tuck it in there nice and neat, because the next step is going to be installing the seat. Okay, step 13 is the seat assembly. It's in 2 pieces, so there's the rear part that's going to have the upper seat belt on it. There's 2 little plastic tabs that'll click in. Alright, yeah, it doesn't push in that far, and it doesn't click. Just take your left hand, you'll push right in the center of the seat, and you'll see the 2 screw holes line up. So the bottom part of the seat has the screws you're going to need already pre-installed. I don't know if you can see, but they're already in the seat and stay in there. So you just slide the back tabs back and then tighten these down. A very nice harness. Okay, final step, step number 14, is just putting AAA batteries in the remote, which if you're not planning to use a remote, you can skip this, put the cover on, and that's it. So very similar to the McLaren go-kart. The remote's a little different, but the functions seem the same. So here's your park button, so it's going to stop the car where it's at. This is your speed selector. It has an S on it, forward, back, left, right, and then this is your initial connect button. So I'm going to connect it, get it plugged in, and then have it all ready for the birthday boy. He should be here later this afternoon, and then we'll jump into a side-by-side of the 2 cars right now. So I just turned the car on for the first time. It's got some cool LEDs on both sides of the halo, just white LEDs, and then also it has a rear LED. I thought that was pretty cool. All right, some other functions of this car. Here's the right steering wheel button. Screen lights up. That does not sound like an F1 car, but still cool. And, of course, the old F1 horn. That's weird. None of these function. Those are disappointing, I'll be honest. All right, then just on the dash of forward, stop, reverse, high speed, low speed. Unlike the McLaren, I don't see the selector switch to go from kid controlled to remote controlled, so we'll have to test that out and see if it's just kind of on the fly, which would be nice to have overriding control while they're in it. And then cool or goofy, however you want to see it, there's a MP3 hookup for whatever reason. And then just the one pedal. All right, so here's the first comparison. I have the rear axles lined up, and you can see the McLaren is significantly smaller lengthwise than the Aston Martin. Honestly, I wasn't really aware of that. And then width-wise, they look about the same. The Aston might be a little wider, but yeah, I mean, look at the. If you're worried about storage space, definitely go with the McLaren as it's smaller. And here's just a different angle. You can see rear axles aligned, and talking maybe half a front wheel, if you want to call it that, maybe a little more. That the Aston's longer. And so far, things I like about the Aston better than the McLaren. The little halo lights I think are cool. The rear lights cool. I think the sounds on the McLaren steering wheel are better than the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin by far has a better seat belt. The McLaren, just the single lap belt, where this is over the shoulders and the center, right? So that's going to be a lot more secure. I think the design details and everything else are a little better on the Aston. And plus you get the higher speed rating, not by much, 2.8 miles an hour to 3.5, but that's still more. And then, yeah, I mean, they're the same but different. The Aston does seem to have better wheels too. It has those little center grip teeth as compared to the full like slicks of the McLaren. We're going to get them both out on the track, and I'm assuming the performance is going to be about the same. Obviously, Aston's going to be a little quicker. If you're worried about size, go with the McLaren. It's a little bit shorter. Obviously, not by much. It's still going to be bulky and kind of awkward to store. Like I said in the first video with the McLaren, it was under $200 shipped to the house. The Aston Martin, excuse me, is a little more expensive. I believe it's $220. So you're looking at, I think, $178 before tax shipping for the McLaren, and then $220, but I believe my sister got it on sale for $200. So if you get it on sale, you're kind of close to the same price point. I would go with the Aston if the size doesn't bother you, because you're going to get a little bit more. Better seatbelt, better speed. If you have any questions for either one or something I just missed in the comparison or assembly or something like that, let me know. And thanks for watching.
Hey, Bubba, thank you.